and which is very important. Further ahead in the context of parsers is called as left recursion. Okay, so I'll share the whiteboard with you all. I believe the whiteboard is visible to you all. In case it's not visible, please do tell me. Okay, so just give me a second. Okay, as I said, today we'll begin with something called as left recursion. Left recursion. Okay. So right now, whatever we are discussing, everything is under the topic main header as context-free grammar. So whatever we'll be referring to or whatever we'll be working on is all with regards to the production rules, terminals, non-terminals, etc. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll first consider some particular example directly instead of taking the formal notation of how left recursion is shown formally and all that. So I'll just take some example. A derives say AA or BB. B derives or A suppose and B derives small b. Okay. Now let's number this as 1 and let's number this as 2. So now in this case, first thing what I would like to ask you all is in this particular grammar that I have considered over here, can you see something wherein there is some common thing that is happening? For that matter, I can make it much more easier for you all to understand. Let's make this also as A. Okay. So in this case, what we can see over here is whatever is there on the left hand side, that is appearing on the right hand side of the production as the leftmost symbol. Okay. It's obvious that on the left hand side, it's always a non-terminal, correct? And on the right hand side, we can see that if you just split up this particular rule, A derives AA, A derives AB, and A derives A. So if you look at this 1, if you look at this 2, then in this 1 and 2, you can see that whatever is there on the left hand side, the non-terminal, it's appearing as the leftmost symbol on the RHS of the given production. Okay. So this is in a way nothing but left recursion. So suppose if you want to construct a parse tree for this, what you will get is A derives A. Okay. Now further on, we know that we can, if you assume that say this was not there, if you assume that this was not there, suppose, okay, what you can do is you can further rewrite this A that we have taken over here in terms of itself. So A derives A, and this can further continue that is A derives A, and so on. And maybe finally somewhere down the tree, I might or the system might end it with just a single A, that is using this particular production. But in this particular thing, what we can see is this entire thing that is getting constructed, the tree, is skewed towards left. And not only this, the main problem is not about the tree getting skewed towards the left, but the main problem is that it is leading to a kind of infinite loop. Okay. So basically, this particular recursion towards the left side, which is called as left recursion, keeps on continuing till it is ended further. Okay, it's not that it cannot end further; it will end further, but it keeps on continuing. So this particular concept is called as left recursion. Okay, so formally to define a grammar is left recursive if it has a non-terminal A. So grammar is left recursive if it has a non-terminal A such that there is a derivation A derives A alpha for some string alpha. Okay. So suppose if you have something like this, that is, if you have a grammar with a production rule saying that A derives A alpha for some string alpha, then this particular grammar is said to be left recursive. The main thing over here to be understood and remembered is that the left hand side of the production, which is a non-terminal, appears as the leftmost symbol on the right hand side. So in this case, it is called as left recursion. So now, what is the problem with left recursion? At this point of time, it may not be very easy and convenient for you all to understand. But just to mention, the problem with left recursion over here is that it can cause, as I mentioned, it can cause a grammar to enter an infinite loop. And moreover, the problem with this left recursion is top-down parsers cannot process grammars with left recursion. So this is a major problem. So top-down parsers cannot process the grammars which contain left recursion because of it entering the infinite loop. So when we take up the topic of top-down grammars, that time it will be more clear to you all why top-down parsers cannot process left recursive grammars. Okay. So having understood what left recursion is, let's start with the main topic, that is elimination of left recursion. So for elimination of left recursion, it's very simple. What we can do is we can consider that we have a grammar G, okay, with a production as shown over here. A derives A alpha or beta. Okay. So suppose if we have a grammar with a production having a production rule with left recursion as given over here, then this, that is to eliminate the left recursion over here, first thing is we should understand whether there is left recursion or not. We can see that this A is repeating as the leftmost symbol on the right hand side, so it is understood that there is a left recursion. Now since there is a left recursion, so we have to eliminate it. So what we do is we can replace above production rule by following rules. So replace above production rule by following rules means we write the productions above production in the form of two production rules as A derives beta A dash and A dash derives alpha A dash or epsilon. So in short, what we do is, suppose if grammar contains a production rule of the form A derives A alpha or beta, then this particular production rule is replaced by another two rules which are as shown over here. So in this case, we can see that there is no left recursion existing. A derives beta A dash. So the left hand side, that is left hand side variable or non-terminal, is not appearing as the leftmost symbol in the right hand side in one, in this, as well as in the second one. So we can see that the left recursion has been eliminated. Okay. So before we take up some problems on this particular part, I'd like to just quickly share the formal algorithm with you all. Just give me a minute. I hope the PPT is visible to you all. So in this PPT, we can see that, of course, there are two topics, left recursion and left factoring. Left factoring we'll see later anyways. So right now, we'll focus only on left recursion. So this is the algorithm, a formal algorithm for elimination of left recursion. Sometimes instead of asking problems, that is, instead of asking analytical problems wherein you have to eliminate left recursions from a grammar, at times even directly this algorithm is asked, like we need to write the algorithm for elimination of left recursion. This is algorithm. It's just something wherein you give the input to the algorithm is a grammar without any empty productions, and the output of that will be an equivalent grammar with no left recursion. Okay, so input will be grammar with left recursion without e productions, that is empty productions, and output should be grammar which does not contain left recursion. Okay, so now in this case, what this algorithm says is, okay, one thing what it also says is that the resulting non-left recursive grammar may contain empty productions. So that is also possible, which we'll see in the numericals that we take up. Right now, the steps of the algorithms are as follows. What you need to do is, initially you need to order the non-terminals in some particular order. Now, in some particular order, A1, A2, so on till AN means, like for example, suppose if you have two productions, okay, A derives capital A, small a, or small a, and there is another production B derives small b. Let's say that these two productions are there. So when you say that arranging the non-terminal in some order means you have to first consider A, capital A, and then consider capital B. This is nothing but the meaning of arranging the non-terminals in some particular order. Then we set up a loop such that we consider every production to be indexed starting from 1 to n. Okay, so we have, if we consider that we have two productions, it will be 1 and 2. Then you take every production, that is like A derives, whatever the production is, you consider every production and check whether that particular production is having left recursion in it. In case there is a left recursion, then you need to replace it by the rule of the form which I already written on the whiteboard. Okay. So in this case, what it says is replace each production of the form AI derives AJ gamma by the production AI derives delta 1 gamma or delta 2 gamma or so on till delta k gamma, where AJ derives delta 1, delta 2, so on till delta k are all current AJ productions. Eliminate the immediate left recursion among the AI productions, and then this loop will continue. Okay, so this is a formal algorithm which you all need to understand, which you all need to know. Okay, what I'll do here is right now at this particular point of time, instead of sticking to this particular algorithm, we'll take up the numericals, and we'll see that our concept of elimination of left recursion is much more clear using numericals. Okay. So I believe that you all are having your notebooks with you all. Okay. So I'll just write a common question. Eliminate left recursion from the following. Okay, so I have shared the whiteboard and I believe that it is visible to you all. So let's take up the first grammar. E derives E plus T or T T derives T star F, or F derives T or ID. Okay, so this is a grammar that is given to us, and what we are supposed to do over here in this grammar is that we have to eliminate the left recursion. Okay, so to start with, so what we can do here is we can just number them 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now in this, I would require participation from your side. Of course, not to solve this, but at least to tell me whether you all can figure out which of the three productions contain left recursion. Can someone tell me which of these productions contain left recursion? Yes. Okay. So Savita said that there are two productions, that is first and second, which contain left recursion. Okay. In case anyone has not understood it before when I explained, just to tell you all why 1 and 2 are having left recursion is because the left hand side of the production, which is E, is appearing as the leftmost symbol on the right hand side of the production over here. So that's the reason this production is having left recursion. Similarly, T, which is LHS over here, is appearing as the leftmost symbol on the right hand side of this particular production. If you look at the third production, F does not appear on the right hand side of this particular production. Hence, there is no left recursion in production number 3. Okay. So what we do over here is let's consider production 1. Okay. Just for our reference, I'm writing the general form. A derives A alpha or beta can be rewritten as A derives beta A dash, and A dash derives alpha A dash or epsilon. Okay. So these are the rules which are used for replacing left recursive productions, a production containing left recursion. Okay, so consider first production. Now, first production over here, which contains left recursion, is E derives E plus T. Okay, now since this production contains left recursion, since this is just a first problem that we are solving, what I can do over here is I can just take some time over here to see whether, just to map this with the rule A derives A alpha or beta. Okay. So now to map this with that particular rule, means I need to say that what is A? A over here is E. Okay. Alpha in this case will be nothing but this A alpha, so plus T. And beta over here can be considered as T. Okay. So the production rule that I have used over here is this. Right. So now, since we have already identified which is A, which is alpha, and which is beta, what we can do here is we can rewrite this particular rule. Okay. So rewriting this particular rule, what we will get is E derives, it is alpha, it is beta A dash. What is our beta? Beta is T. So T dash. Okay. So I'm introducing a new non-terminal or new variable over here. Then I need to write this E dash, that is a new variable in terms of alpha and A dash. So alpha is plus T, so plus T, and followed by A dash. A dash is nothing but whatever is there on the left hand side over here. So plus T, E dash, or epsilon. Okay. So here what we got is we got a non-left recursive set of production rules for E derives E plus T or T. Okay. Then what we do is we consider the second production rule. So second production rule, that is production 2, which is T, which is T gives or T derives T star F or F. So again we can see that there is left recursion because this is repeating. Okay. So now we know that this is in the form A derives A alpha or beta. We know which is alpha, right? So just for our reference, I'm writing this is alpha and this is beta. This is our A, this is our A, correct? So if this is the case, what we can do here is we can write it in the form T derives beta T dash, right? So beta is F, so it will become F T dash, and T dash can be rewritten in the form of alpha and T dash itself. So alpha over here is asterisk F T dash or epsilon. Okay. So having done this, what we have done is we have eliminated the left recursion from the production number 2 as well. Okay. Now, if you look at the third production, there is no left recursion as we had already discussed. So there is no need to eliminate the third production. So now what we need to do is when we write the final solution in the exam, what we need to write is grammar after elimination of left recursion is write the whole grammar again. That is whatever whichever productions you have found by eliminating left recursion, those productions you need to write. So E derives T E dash, then E dash derives plus T E dash or epsilon, then T derives F T dash, T dash derives asterisk F T dash or epsilon, and finally F derives E or I think it is ID. Okay. So this is our final solution of elimination of left recursion. Okay. So this is the grammar which does not contain any left recursion. Now this was just a very straightforward grammar wherein we could eliminate the left recursion easily, and we could see that it was quite evident that there was left recursion, so we could remove it easily and we can write this particular grammar. At times it also happens that you might come up or you might come across grammars wherein after doing this also you might see that these productions, this is just a possibility. Okay, it may not always happen. There could be a possibility that there still remains some kind of left recursion. Okay, so we can take up some cases of that kind. We'll see later. Right now, just for you to make a note of it. Okay. Now, this example that we took up over here is a case of immediate or direct left recursion. Why it is called immediate or direct left recursion is because, for example, if I consider E derives E plus T or T, we can see that T, E and E appears here, so it is in the same production. At times, it might happen that this E, I'll just rewrite. It might happen that it is something like E derives A plus T and A derives something like E small a, something of this kind. You might have something like this. So we can see that if you had to substitute this A by this EA, okay, just for instance, if you had to substitute this A, I'll just number them as 1 and this is 2 suppose. If we had to substitute this over here, then what you would have got is E derives EA plus T or T. So we can see that it eventually leads to some form of left recursion. So such cases can be, or they are called as indirect left recursion. Okay, so we'll see some example of this also later. What we can do is we can go to the next example for now of immediate or direct left recursion. So we can take the second example. So second example will be A derives A BD or AA or small a. B derives capital B small e or E. Okay. So this is a grammar that is given to us which has two production rules. So again we can number this. This numbering and all I'm doing it so that for me it is easy, for me it is convenient to refer to that production. Okay. It's not a part of the formal solution. So what I'm doing here is I'm considering, it's a good practice though, so that you don't get confused. I'm saying consider production 1. So what production 1 is? A derives A, B, D or A or A. So this is a production that we have considered. So first thing is identify whether there is a left recursion or not. Okay. So how would you identify? Compare it with the general form. This is our A, correct? A derives A alpha. Yeah, A, this is there. Okay. Or now we can see that in the second part also of the production, there is appearance of A again, right? That means this will become our A. So since there are more productions which are having which are of the form A derive A alpha, what we can call them is A derives A alpha 1, A derives A alpha, and lastly what we get over here is beta. So right now we'll just focus only on this particular production. Okay. So now what we can do over here in this particular case is this itself we can split into two parts. So when I say split into two parts means out of this we'll take A derives A, B, D first or A. Okay. So now what we get over here is in the form as A derives A alpha or beta. This is our A, this is our A, this is our entire alpha, and this is our beta. So to write this production in the form of, please, in case you all, I believe that you all are noting down definitely. So please see that whatever I am writing here in red, it is just for illustration. That is for you all to easily understand what it is. Please do not consider it as a part of the solution. So when you are noting down, the way I am writing it in a different color, you all can write it in a different color so that you all don't mess it up and get confused later when you are studying. Okay. So now having understood this, we just need to rewrite it. So A derives, it is beta A dash. Beta is small a, so A dash. Now we have to write this A dash as alpha. So alpha is capital B, small d, A dash or epsilon. Okay. So with this, what we have done is we have rewritten this particular rule. After that, what we can do is we can consider the next part. We know that there were two. So the second production is A derives A or small a. So now in this case, what we can do is we can rewrite it in the form A derives, beta is small a over here, so A dash, and A dash is alpha. Alpha is this. I just underline it. This is our alpha, that is A dash, or epsilon. Okay. So this is what we get. So therefore, for the production, A derives A, B, D, or A, or A. What we get is, we get these production rules. That is, A derives. We can see that, I'll just put a tick mark with the blue. We can see that this and this is the same, so we need not repeat it, or we need not make it redundant. So A derives small a capital A dash. We can write only once, followed by A dash derives, it is B D A dash, or A dash. Okay. And finally, what is A dash? A dash is again epsilon. Okay. I could have written it here as well. Never mind. So you can write it there itself on the same line, or I have written separately. That is also acceptable. Okay. So now this is for, I'll just scroll again to that grammar. This is just for the production rule 1. Now we can see that there is production rule 2 also. So now consider that particular production. So if you consider that production, that is production 2, consider production 2. So what production 2 has is, it is B derives capital B, small e, or B. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to rewrite it. So for that we need to identify which is A. This is A. This is alpha over here, and this is beta. So to rewrite it, what we will, by rewriting, what we will get is B derives beta. So beta is small b, A dash, and sorry. So usual practice, so I'll follow that one. B derives small b, capital B dash, and B dash is nothing but alpha, that is E, P dash, or epsilon. Okay. So finally, after getting the non-left recursive grammar rules for the entire grammar, so the final grammar, or grammar after elimination of left recursion, we need to rewrite entire. So A derives small a dash, A dash derives capital B, small d, A dash, or small a dash, A dash derives epsilon, B derives B dash, B dash derives EB dash, and finally B dash derives epsilon. So this entire thing that I have written now, these are 6 production rules. This is the final grammar. Okay. I believe that should be fine with your. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll take another grammar. Then we'll stop. I'll give you all some problems to solve later. Then we'll stop with left recursion. Okay. And say we'll stop with the class. So consider S derives A or B. A derives A small c or S D. So if you look at this particular case, okay, this is a case of indirect left recursion. So now, how do we know that this is indirect left recursion? Hmm. We can see that S derives AA or B, and then we can see that okay, here it is of course directly evident that it is direct left recursion. A derives AC, or SD is there. Okay, but this SD that is there, if we can see, it appears over here. Okay, S has been written as AA, right? So this, if we write over here, or if we substitute the production one, production to this SD part by production one, we'll convert it into a left recursive RAM. Okay. So in such cases, what we can do is we can just run the algorithm. We can, if you all remember, there was something like IJ in the algorithm. Okay. So we can see that there are two productions. This is one, and this is two. So what we can say is, say for I equal to 1, we can see that there is no immediate left recursion. Okay. Then what we do is we go to the next production. So next production is numbered as 2. So for I equal to 2, what we can do is we can substitute whatever is there in 1. So we can substitute S from 1 in production. A derives AC or SD. So suppose if we do this, what we will get is, we'll get the production as A derives AC. So S we have to substitute. S is having two right hand sides, capital A followed by small a or B. So first put the first one. So what we'll get is AD, that substitution we have done, or small b. So small b followed by D. Okay. So what we get over here is the production. I'll just put it in a box so that people don't get confused. So we get this particular production by substituting 1 in 2. Now what we can see is there is a direct left recursion. Now what we can do further ahead with this production is we can write it as, I'm not doing anything much, I'm just rewriting it. So AC, AAD or BD, and since after this there is nothing, what I can write is also epsilon empty, because we know that empty itself is something which is a blank, right? So what we do here is we write this. So by doing this, what we do here is we write it in the form A derives A alpha 1 or A alpha 2 or beta 1 or beta 2. Okay, so what we have done is we have written it in this particular form. So at this point, what we can do is we can just write this particular general form, non left recursive general form for this particular production that we have. So anytime we have something like this, or what we can do is we can directly write this instead of spending time on that. We can rewrite this by removing the left recursion as A derives, which is beta over here is BD. So BD A dash. The second beta over here is epsilon. So epsilon itself is empty. So we can either write epsilon A dash, or preferably do not mention the epsilon over here. Instead directly write it as A dash, which is understood. Then write a production rule for A dash. So A dash is written in terms of alpha. So first alpha we have as alpha 1 we have as C. So C A dash, or the second alpha that we have over here is AD. So AD A dash, or finally epsilon. Okay. So this is what we get finally as the non-left recursive grammar. Okay. So now if I want to write this general form, it will become A derives beta 1 A dash, or beta 2 A dash, and A dash derives alpha 1 A dash, or alpha 2 A dash, or epsilon. Okay. So this is the general form. So just remember that in case of left recursion, it could be immediate or direct, immediate or alternatively also called as direct left recursion, or it could be indirect left recursion. In case it is immediate, it is straightforward. In case it is indirect, what you need to do is you need to carefully observe the given productions, check if it is direct or indirect left recursion, and accordingly solve it as per the method shown over. So if it is direct, then it will be directly solved. If it is indirect, then you will have to use the substitution method. Okay, so we have solved some examples, right? What I can do here is I can take up the fourth problem, okay, and solve it later. Is A derives BA or AA or C. Then we have B derives capital B small b, or capital A small b, or D. Okay. Please see that you all complete this problem today. I mean, solve this problem today before we all come for the tomorrow's class. A real copy. As I said, this is your homework problem. Okay, please solve it. Did I copy the problem? So I'll continue. Am I audible or am I not audible? Okay, so I believe you all have copied, because one student has already copied it. We'll start with the next concept. It's called as left factoring. It's like both these concepts go together. So we'll start and we'll just complete it. Okay. So left factoring. So what we'll do is we'll consider a production rule. A derives alpha beta 1 or alpha beta 2. Okay. And actually this can be considered as a generalized case, alpha beta 3. So on till alpha beta n. Okay. So first we'll try to understand what exactly is the case of left factoring, or what is the scenario and then we'll see how to eliminate left factoring, along with knowing what are the possible drawbacks of having left factoring or left factored production rules. Okay. Now here we can see that if I just split this, we can see that we have alpha beta 1, we have alpha beta 2, we have alpha beta 3, and so on. Okay, so if I just consider one particular production, you can see that it is A derives some particular prefix, and then I have beta 1. If I take the second production, it is A derives the same prefix but some other beta. Then we can see that A derives some prefix and then there is another beta. Okay, so in short, if I go to write this, we can see that what is common in all this is this particular prefix, right? So from this left hand side, when we go to the right hand side, we can see that there is some prefix in every production or a common prefix. Okay, so the left factoring is a problem or it's a concept which involves finding the longest common prefix in a production. So that is what left factoring is. Okay. So here we can see that we have considered it in terms of alpha, alpha, alpha. That is alpha beta 1, alpha beta 2, alpha beta 3, so on till alpha beta n. So alpha we have considered as a prefix. Now why we say longest prefix is because, like for example, we can have something like A derives A B capital B A or A B capital B B B or something like this. Okay. So if you notice over here, we can see that what is common is A small b capital B, A small b capital B. So these two, we can see that they are prefixes, and in this thing what we can see is they are the longest prefixes. Okay, just to assume or just to consider, if had this been a small a, then what we would have to do was we would have to consider this also as a part of the prefix. So this also would have been a prefix. Okay, so basically left factoring is a concept of finding the longest prefix. Okay. So now to formally understand it, what we can do is I can just rewrite this. A derives say we can just take a smaller version of what we do, alpha beta 1 or alpha beta 2 or alpha beta 3. Let's say that this is what we have. Okay, so the prefix over here, just for our understanding, I'm writing the prefix over here is alpha. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to understand what is the problem caused by this prefix and how it can be eliminated. So now suppose okay, basically why do we use these productions? Okay, context-free grammar, production rules, and also on. What do we use it for? What we use it for? Generating strings, right? That's what we understood when we did derivations and so on. Now, when we are generating strings, if you all have noticed, when we were doing those leftmost derivations, rightmost derivations, you all must have seen that there were two rules wherein we need to choose a particular production, we need to choose a particular non-terminal, right? So choosing a particular production means how do we choose a production? So we can see that A derives alpha beta 1, alpha beta 2, and alpha beta 3. So suppose there is some particular string which is supposed to start with this alpha. Then what we can do is we can consider the production as A derives alpha beta 1. So if I put it in the form of a parse tree, what we'll get here is A derives alpha beta 1. Okay. Now suppose if we realize that this particular, I'll mark it in red, this particular beta 1 is not what we require. So what will happen is it will cause something called as backtracking. So this particular process is called as backtracking. Backtracking means since it is not the required beta, it is not the required symbol or set of symbols, so we have to backtrack, go back to the, I would say in this case, the variable. Then what we'll have to do is, we'll have to look at the next production. Next production says it is A derives alpha beta 2. So again, if you realize that again we were not intending to use beta 2, it will be again leading to backtracking. Further, if we go ahead and we say take alpha beta 3, so in this case, let's say that this is what was needed or this is what we require. So what we'll do, we'll consider or we'll make use of A derives alpha beta 3. But in this process, we saw that there were 2 times backtracking. And this is something which is not acceptable for certain parsers. So again, this longest common prefix is a problem for parsers. Okay, so since there is multiple backtracking required, it cannot be accepted. So what we need to do is we need to see how to avoid backtracking. So this is what we need to see, and by avoiding backtracking, in turn, what it means is how we can do left factoring. Okay, so to formally put it, suppose if we have production of this particular form, A derived alpha beta 1 or alpha beta 2 or alpha beta 3, then we can rewrite it. Since we don't have much time, I'll just take a shortcut. So rewriting the above production, what we will get is, take the longest common prefix, whatever you have, alpha, introduce a new non-terminal A dash. So alpha A dash. And then write this A dash in terms of all the betas possible. So beta 1 or beta 2 or beta 3. So this is our solution to the longest common prefix problem. And this is called nothing but left factoring. Okay, so I believe you have copied this general form. So what we'll do is we'll take up a problem. Okay. So this problem is for left factoring the given grammars. So left factoring of the given grammars, we'll see what it is. So suppose if we take a production as S derives I capital E small t capital S small e capital S, or I E small t capital S or A. Okay, and E is defined in terms of B, or E derives B. So in this case, we need to see what is the solution. So now the solution to this will be, we have to first identify the longest common prefix. So if you look at both these rules, you can see that I is common here, E is common, E is common, and T is also common. And further ahead, we can see that, I think, if I'm not wrong, S is also the common prefix. Okay, so what we do, we got what is alpha in our production rule, so we just need to rewrite the production. So rewriting the production, it will be S derives, write down the alpha. Alpha is the longest common prefix. So IETS is the longest common prefix. So alpha A dash. So our A dash in this case will be nothing but S dash. Okay. Also, S derives this small a. So write this small a as it is. Now we have to define S dash or write a derivation for S dash. So S dash is nothing but it says beta 1 or beta 2 or beta 3. Okay. So now this is alpha beta 1. Okay. So what I'll do is in blue I'll just underline which is our beta over here. So beta over here is ES. Okay. So it will be S dash derives small e capital S. And here we can see this entire RHS itself is the alpha. So alpha beta 2. So when there is no beta remaining, we consider epsilon as the beta. So epsilon. And finally, this rule was unaffected by left factoring, so it will be written as it is. So in this case, we can see that we have removed the left factoring problem from this particular grammar. Okay. We'll take one more example, then we'll stop. Please, I'll take another 2-3 minutes of yours. So S derives ASSBS or ASB or ABB or B. Okay. So the solution we'll see. So what we do here is we can see that again what I'll do here is I'll mark the alpha, that is the longest prefix, and underline it with A. So AS I can see AS. Okay. See, if you go to look at the third production, A is there, but the capital S is not there. And what we have to do here is we have to eliminate the longest prefix. Okay. Our main problem is longest prefix problem. So the longest prefix will become small a capital S. Fine. So writing the production will get S derives it is write the alpha is AS. Okay. Followed by S dash. Okay. Or B. Finally, we write S dash in terms of betas. So beta will be SBS. Okay. Or ASB. I think I just missed out over here. Or ASB. Fine. And yeah, I think so that is all. This is our S dash. No, sorry, this is not S dash. No, this is as it is. So S dash derives SBS. Okay. So this is the solution of this particular left factoring. Okay. Just hold on. Just make a note of your attendance. The plugin is working now, so I won't call out your numbers. I have taken the attendance at different times. 4 times I have marked the attendance. So accordingly, I'll get to know who has been present. Okay, I think we'll stop over here. I'll take up some more problems in the next class on left factoring. Then we'll start with parsing. For now, we'll stop here.